Egypt has indicated, of course, that it's ready and willing to collaborate with us and other countries in the region to collectively fight this menace.
Nigeria and Egypt to collaborate in the fight against terrorism in Africa.
All states that will be benefiting from the Basic Healthcare Provision Fund to, first of all, lay out a comprehensive work plan for the utilization of the funds.
Senate to repeal the National Health Insurance Scheme Act of 2004 to improve access to quality health care, as House of Representatives seeks to alter a section of the Constitution to accelerate access to free basic education.
Tourists can go to the nooks and corners of Nigeria and actually savor the monuments.
Federal government set to rejuvenate tourism sector as Minister of Information attends UNTWO UNESCO Conference on Tourism in Tokyo, Japan. And in sports, Nigeria intensifies preparation for 2020 Powerlifting World Cup in Abuja. A very lovely evening to you and welcome to the news at 9 on the network service of the Nigerian Television Authority. I'm Rhoda and we're broadcasting live from our studios here in Abuja. Reading with me tonight is Hingino in Lagos and Caleb will be joining us from Jos. We begin network news tonight from the Arab Republic of Egypt, where President Muhammadu Buhari, in furtherance of his administration's respect and high regard for the women folk, participated at a special session devoted towards advancing the contribution of women to peace and security. State House correspondent Adam Musaba reports that the session is part of the Aswan Forum for Sustainable Peace, Security and Development in Africa, holding in Egypt.
Although President Muhammadu Buhari did not speak at the forum, he, alongside other African leaders, listened with rapt attention as the panelists made up of mainly activists harped on the need for women to be taken more seriously. They say women, as a powerful force for sustainable peace and development, need more than just a seat at the table to unleash their potential in critical decision-making towards preventing conflict and sustaining the peace. The panelists, including the former interim President of the Central African Republic, Catherine Samba Panza, are of the view that for the desired results to be achieved, structural barriers to women empowerment and gender equality must be addressed.
We take the bold decision to say 50-50. What we mean is critical mass of women in government, so that all of us can be at par.
Presidential media advisor Femi Adesina described President Buhari's participation at the session as significant and instructive.
When the guns boom, who are the ones that suffer most? Women and children and old people. Therefore, this session talking about the role women can contribute in peace building is very significant. You heard different speakers from different parts of the world talking of how women can be involved even in negotiations for peace. So I think it's a very good one that our president was here. He will have a lot to take home about what women can contribute even to resolving conflicts in different parts of the country. Buhari, I think, more than any other president, has done so much to involve women in governance and to also give them very critical roles in his government and in his administration. So that tells you that the president has a very soft spot and the highest respect for women and what they can do and what they can contribute towards the development of Nigeria.
The governors of Adamawa and Yobe states speak on their takeaways from the Women's Forum, given their peculiar security situation.
In Adamawa, because we know women are the catalyst in peace and sustainable development, we have involved them in almost all aspects of governance. We have used them so far. They were able to deliver essentially well to the betterment and advancement of the state in general. And very soon I will also be using them in finance, because I feel even at the national level they manages the finance very well than men themselves. So I think it is high time that we start using our women in most aspects of life.
Peace is prerequisite to development, and at the same time inclusivity is very, very important, especially at this critical time. The continent is coming together to take a common position on women inclusivity in governance. You cannot develop a society without the participation of women. They are key. So as such, women empowerment is very critical to development at any level.
How will you rate the performance of those you have engaged so far in the governance of the state?
Well, they are doing very well. They are doing very well, and we have identified their area of specialization, and they are doing very, very, very well.
President Buhari's engagements in Aswan, Egypt continue. From Aswan, Adamu Sambo, NTA News.
Meanwhile, Nigeria and the Arab Republic of Egypt have pledged to collaborate more effectively towards eradicating the menace of terrorism and insurgency, not only in the North and West African sub-region, but across the continent. This came to light at a bilateral engagement between President Muhammadu Buhari and his Egyptian counterpart, Abdel Fattah el-Sisi, on the margins of the Aswan Forum on Sustainable Peace and Development in Africa. Here again is Adamu Sambo.
At the high-level engagement held behind closed doors, President Muhammadu Buhari said although West African countries are already in close cooperation towards combating terrorism through the multinational joint task force, since the menace is now a worldwide phenomenon, more collaborative efforts are needed towards finding lasting solutions. President el-Sisi, who briefed the Nigerian leader on efforts of his government to counter terrorism, particularly on the Sinai and the borders with Libya, reiterated his willingness to synergize with the Nigerian government on all fronts towards conquering what he called the evil of terrorism.
As far as we're concerned, we're talking about security in our sub-region, and the desire and the commitment of the Egyptian government to join forces with us to ensure that we address these matters squarely, especially the insurgency that Nigeria and other countries in the Sahel are going through. Egypt has indicated, of course, that it's ready and willing to collaborate with us and other countries in the region to collectively fight this menace.
President el-Sisi conveyed his appreciation to President Muhammadu Buhari for not only honoring his invitation to participate in the Aswan Forum, but also his leadership qualities. The Egyptian leader pledged to deepen cooperation and partnership with Nigeria in all areas of common interest.
Especially the areas of the Joint Commission, and not only activating it, but taking it to a much higher level. That is to ensure that we cooperate in a lot more areas than we already do now, especially talking about agriculture, science and infrastructure, industrialization, investments, and the rest of them.
The Egyptian leader, President Abdel Fattah al-Sisi, used the opportunity to formally invite President Muhammadu Buhari to the opening of the new capital, as well as Grand International Museum of the Arab Republic of Egypt in October 2020. From Aswan, Egypt, Adamu Sambu, NTA News.
And back home, the Senate marked the International Universal Health Coverage Day, during which it harped on the need for Nigeria to improve on access to affordable, quality health care through improved funding and monitoring. National Assembly correspondent Ignatius Nko reports.
It was a day for the health sector in the Senate chamber as plenary took off with the International Universal Health Day in focus. Senator Chukwuka Otazi enjoined his colleagues to use the opportunity to emphasize on achieving universal health coverage for Nigeria. The motion was followed by the consideration of the National Health Insurance Scheme Act repeal and enactment of the National Health Insurance Commission Bill, sponsored by Senator Ibrahim Oloriegbe.
A strong, efficient, well-run health systems. 2, a system for financing health services. A sufficient capacity of well-trained motivated health workers.
It will go a long way in helping and alleviating the suffering of the people who might not have adequate or money that can take care of their various health needs.
Nigeria's visions and sustainable development goal will be a mirage if the national health system remains comatose and without an effective, efficient, and affordable health insurance.
It's for our people to know that when they are sick, somebody is out there to take care of their medical health challenges.
All states that will be benefiting from the Basic Healthcare Provision Fund to first of all lay out a comprehensive work plan for the utilization of the funds.
Also considered for second reading is the Police Act Amendment Bill, which seeks to expunge gender inequality in the police force, sponsored by Senator Ezenwa Onyewuchi.
A woman police officer who is desirous of marrying must first apply in writing to the Commissioner of Police for the State Police Command in which he is serving, requesting permission to marry.
All these horrible clauses should be expunged from the bill. It should be humane. It's not just about women, it's about humanity.
This is a law that predates our independence even.
Senate has mandated its Committee on Judiciary, Human Rights and Legal Matters to investigate the alleged recent invasion of the court by personnel of the Department of State Service. Meanwhile, the Senate President Ahmed Lawan has inaugurated the governing board of the National Institute for Legislative and Democratic Studies. From the National Assembly, Ignatius Unko, NTA News.
Legislative executive interference remains one of the significant approaches towards solving national problems in a democracy, and that is why the Senate within the week engaged 3 ministries in a roundtable discussion. The acting chairman, Senate Committee on Media and Public Affairs, Akwashiki Godia, briefed Senate correspondent on legislative activities within the week, where it explained that the roundtable discussion between the Senate and stakeholders on power, solid minerals, agriculture has yielded some potent solutions to feeding problems in those sectors.
Senate, that we should have round-table discussions with some few or key MDAs for better and for the betterment of our country, Nigeria. Ministries like power, solid minerals, and agriculture.
Meanwhile, the House of Representatives is seeking alterations to some sections of the Constitution in order to make justiciable the fundamental rights of accessing free basic education. To these effects, the bill passed through second reading at Thursday's plenary. National Assembly correspondent Lami Ali tells us more.
The bill, sponsored by the Speaker, Femi Gbajabiamila, seeks to place free, compulsory and universal basic education under Chapter 4 of the Constitution. Debate on the general principles of the bill witnessed support of lawmakers across board.
If we can get this as a fundamental human right, it becomes obligatory on government to make sure that our citizens are educated at least at the basic level.
If states do not train the people who are supposed to benefit from free compulsory basic education, one can actually approach the court to say you have violated the Constitution.
Extremism we are facing, which leads to insurgency and all sorts of insecurity, is because our citizens don't have access to education.
A Pakistani celebrity, Malala Yusuf, she said, with a gun, you can kill a terrorist. But with education, you are going to kill terrorism as a whole.
Also passed at second reading were the bill for an act to provide compulsory teaching of security and intelligence studies in Nigerian secondary schools, a bill amending the Legislative Powers Act, a bill that seeks to make provisions for a timetable for the submission of names of ministerial and commissioners' nominees with portfolios attached, and the 2020 statutory budget proposal for the FCT. The House at plenary resolved to investigate allegations of corrupt practices in the insurance sector perpetrated by public officials, as moved by Minority Whip Gideon Gweni.
This practice of domiciling some of the insurance ventures outside the country tremendously promote money laundering.
The leadership of the House captured plenary to meet with Minister of Labour and Employment, Minister of State Power, and representatives of the Nigerian Union of Electricity Workers in relation to Wednesday's nationwide shutdown of electricity supply.
Labour administration and industrial relation for a government body or even any other body, whether it's private, is an ultimatum given to the Minister of Labour. And the law is clear on it. You do that on a trade dispute sheet called TDN 1 and 2. So we never saw any in my ministry. That was why we were taken aback.
An ultimatum that the Minister of Labour was copied, DGSSS was copied, the Inspector General of Police was copied, 1 month after cannot be said to be abroad.
This matter has been resolved along with our comrade brothers, and the communique has been signed.
We want to now make that agreement a tripartite agreement and include the legislature or the House of Representatives, as the case may be, as part of that agreement. We were ready to sign that agreement as a witness to the agreement or as part of the agreement, so that you can hold us accountable as you hold the executive accountable.
The House urged implementation of the agreement reached and called on the union to henceforth formally notify leadership of the House before embarking on industrial action. From the National Assembly, Lami Ali, NTA News.
And now to all the matters. Information and Culture Minister Lai Mohammed says the federal government is involving local communities in driving the tourism sector through the establishment of community museums. The minister announced this at the ministerial high-level segment of the ongoing 4th ONWTO UNESCO World Conference on Tourism and Culture holding in Tokyo, Japan. Anthony Forsing reports.
Terms of marrying tourism with culture and involving the local community. So I wonder if you could give me an example.
Advancing reasons for the federal government's decision to take tourism to the local communities, Lai Mohammed said it is the only way the rightful owners of the arts and crafts on display at museums in the cities can translate to economic gains to the rightful owners using the Berlin Notes experience, as is the case in Nigeria.
When tourists come, they stay in Lagos, they stay in Abuja, they stay in Kano. And it is the economy of Lagos, Abuja and Kano that actually benefit from the tourist spending. So what the government did was to try and shift the focus. And this time around, we encourage palace and community museums so that tourists can go to the nooks and corners of Nigeria and actually savor the monuments, savor the artifacts, savor our cuisine, savor our cultural tourism, and the money spent there remains in the community. This is how we are trying to balance, and ensure that the money that is spent by tourists actually is retained in the community.
With some palaces already turned into museums in parts of Nigeria, the minister said museums will not be limited to the cities, as Lamido of Adamawa, the Emir of Potiskum, and the Oni of Ife have set the pace.
We are encouraging palaces and the residences of important chiefs to also have their own museums and get people invited there.
Other members of the panel with Nigeria's Minister of Information and Culture were from Cambodia, Croatia, Czech Republic, Ghana, Greece, Guinea, and Japan. And as it was made clear by Lai Mohammed, they equally highlighted the different approaches their various governments have taken to safeguard and promote cultural expressions and support for the development of new and sustainable tourism. From Kyoto, Japan, Anthony Forson, NTA News.
You're watching the news at 9. We'll take a first commercial break, and when we come back, we have more reports. Stay with us.
Inner strength? Yeah, that comes from the hard knocks that life throws at us. And we Nigerians, we know all about that. You don't stay down, you get up and fight. Sure, it's about speed, technique, quality of the punches, reach. But the real fight is with myself.
It's the power, but it's the speed as well.
But I can't carry this heavyweight title by myself. There's always got to be someone in my corner. And that's why I believe in Glow. We have that same tenacity, that Nigerian fighting spirit that makes us game changers. You have to dig deep to be a world champion. But yeah, we Nigerians, yeah, we know all about that.
What a fight!
Glow, our halo.
Heavyweight champion of the world.
You don't really own a watch until you own a Chris Air. Until you own a Chris Air.
Black Watch by Chris Air.
Sexy. The Black Watch.
The Black Watch.
Magnetic. Sexy. Black.
Elegant.
Love the new Black Watch by Chris Air.
Chris Air.
Visit us at Transcorp Hilton Lobby opposite UBA, Abuja.
Them girls just they feel me now, 'cause I get some money, then they feel me now. Back then they do me anyhow. I don't get some money, they want to get it. Oh yeah, shake body. Oh yeah, move body. Make you ring alarm. Oh yeah, shake body.
Welcome. Room reservation in the name of Mr. and Mrs. Lawrence for our honeymoon. Oh, congratulations. Just a minute, let me check, okay? Reservation confirmed. Sir. Nice suit, by the way. But tell me, what's your number?
Make and receive payments with just phone number with Pay Attitude. To get started, dial star 569 hash to enjoy seamless transactions.
Thank you.
So, what's your number? Pay Attitude. Be all of you.
1.5 million naira.
3 million naira.
500,000 naira.
75,000 naira.
10 million naira. 900,000 naira.
My house rent.
My family savings. My children's school fees.
My trading money.
My business capital. My contribution money of 1 whole year.
Over the last decade, Nigerians have lost billions of naira to illegal fund managers. Dreams and businesses have been destroyed. Family savings and livelihoods wiped out. Do not join the growing list of victims, shun unlicensed operators who offer extraordinary returns on investments. Say no to illegal fund managers. Invest and save your hard-earned money with only officially licensed banks and financial institutions. This message is brought to you by the Financial Services Regulation Coordinating Committee, FSRCC.
How hot is she?
Maybe a 7. How hot is he?
8.5.
Whoa, how hot is she? Very hot. Pick me. Just pick me, baby. Come pick me, girl. Man, I'm all ready for you.
So tasty.
He's so lucky.
Stop being jealous, man.
Mini-Me. Taste the fun.
Are you not supposed to be?
Get up. Get up.
Bros. Now my house you go dey watch television. Go TV.
The subject, your coconut. What y'all cooking? Oh, let me see them. What did they happen? I just said something happened for this compound.
Na ginger. Na jolly. Go TV just run one new package wey dey call Go TV ginger. And na for small money.
Later I get new package. Then they call am Go TV Jolly. Everybody gets your to pickle.
My people, now double bus are the apple for this compound.
Move up to Go TV Jolly with 68 plus channels for 2,400 naira per month. Or move up to Go TV Ginger with 47 plus channels for only 1,600 naira per month. All of us be Go TV family. Make we enjoy them together.
You are welcome back, and if you've just joined us, you're watching the Network News at 9 live from Abuja. The Chief of Naval Staff, Vice Admiral Ibok Ete-Ibas, has flagged off the construction of Nigeria's latest warship at the United Arab Emirates. The report.
The key laying ceremony of the London Ship 100 is one of the bold steps by the Nigerian Navy at restoring its sea lift capabilities after decommissioning the last two 10 years ago. The Chief of Naval Staff gave the assurance that when completed, the warship will play a significant role and fill the operational gap created by the decommissioning of NNS Ophium and NNS Ambi.
I do believe that this is the beginning of good things to come. Today's ceremony is a significant step towards actualizing the dream of restoring the Nigerian Navy's sea lift capability.
Marius has never delivered a vessel too late so far, and we are not going to do it with this project either, I can promise you. And we believe that our quality in this yard always should be second to none.
He disclosed that the bid for the construction was quite competitive, and Damen Shipyard got the contract following its track record of high-quality ship building capacity, engineering, as well as the company's ability to adhere to timelines for delivery. A landing ship tank is a mission-essential unit in naval warfare deployed primarily for sea lift to transport troops to the theater of operation. The last two landing ship tanks, NNS Ophium and Ambi, performed sea lift operations to Lebanon, and also the logistic platform for ECOMOG operations were commissioned in 1979 and decommissioned 10 years ago. When completed, the ship will be engaged in the protection of maritime resources and the preservation of law and order.
Let's turn our attention now to security. In the past, the job of a female police officer was limited to the investigation of offences relating to women, children, and other domestic issues. Now, the narrative has changed with an increasing number of female operatives proving their mettle in the various aspects of policing, sometimes better than their male counterparts. This is one of the highlights of the first Female Police Officers Conference hosted by the Inspector General of Police, Mohammed Adamu in Abuja. Francis Form has more.
Dr. Aishatu Abubakar is the most senior female police officer. She joined the police force in September 1995 after her youth service corps.
I was posted to the Nigerian police to serve as a corps member. So from there I fell in love with the job and then I joined immediately.
The struggle for women empowerment and equality at the end of the colonial rule paved the way for women integration into the Nigeria police and other security outfits. Dr. Abubakar is now a commissioner of police in charge of Force Animal Branch. She and other female police officers seated in this hall are brainstorming on how to enhance their performance in the discharge of their duties.
The outcome of this conference will enhance the performance of women police in particular and improve the overall image of the force.
Inspector General of Police Mohammed Adamu, who declared the conference open, acknowledged the contribution of female police officers to the development of the force and urged them to sustain the tempo.
I look forward to a communique that will capture the outcome of the conference as well as advances of action plans that will assist the police leadership in advancing the interests of women police officers.
Dr. Abubakar and other female officers are serving in all the police commands and structures in different capacities. They say the conference is worth the while.
Believe in myself and know that I do not need any additional embellishments.
Our senior women have reminded us what is expected of us, and we have been greatly encouraged by our Inspector General of Police.
This conference is the first of its kind in the force. In Abuja, Francis Form, NTA News.
Drug and substance abuse has been attributed as a major cause of the high rate of illiteracy, divorce and broken homes, especially in Kano State. President of the Global Peace Women in Nigeria, wife of the former Vice President, Haji Amina Namadi Sambu, stated this during the groundbreaking ceremony of a foundation laying of Drug Rehabilitation Center in Kano. Tessie Mary reports.
Kano is one of the states in the northwest of Nigeria, and statistics has it that it has the highest rate of drug and substance abuse in the whole of West Africa. These alarming data prompt the president of the Global Peace Women Nigeria, Hajia Amina Namadi Sambu, to take the bull by the horn by ensuring that women as nurturers get involved.
We need all hands to be on deck. We need also, after completion, to see our women coming to lend their hands, to guide them, to counsel them, especially our females.
With support of the visiting Secretary General of the Global Peace Women International, Dr. Sunu Kang, and the Kano State Coordinator, Ommi Tanko Yakasei, the foundation laying is to erect a befitting structure for the rehabilitation of women addicts who are mothers and future mothers.
This is going to be the very important moment to the history here in Kano. Next generation going to be more healthy and happy.
A dinner was later held in honor of the visiting Secretary General of the Global Peace Women International, who is in the country to promote peace and to strengthen the Nigerian chapter of the group. Dr. Maria Sanusi, who donated the land for the rehabilitation center, advised women who are into drugs and substance abuse to desist, as their roles as mothers can negatively affect the society due to the influence of substance consumption. In Abuja, Tessie Omeri, NTA News.
Now, the Nigerian Air Force Air Task Force for Operation Lafia Dole says it has neutralized scores of Boko Haram terrorists and destroyed some of their structures in a massive airstrike conducted yesterday, 11 December 2019. In a statement by the Director of Public Relations and Information, Air Commodore Ibukunle Daramola says at Kokiwa and Bula Korege on the fringes of Sambisa Forest in Borno State, the airstrikes were conducted in continuation of Operation Lafia Rattlesnake after credible human intelligence report, which were also corroborated by a series of intelligence surveillance and reconnaissance mission established that Boko Haram terrorists had intensified activities in the targeted settlements with a view to launching attacks against own troops' location in the area. The NAF, operating in concert with surface forces, will sustain its effort to completely destroy all remnants of the terrorists in the northeast. Meanwhile, the Nigerian Army has reacted to a fake video clip circulating on social media portraying alleged capture and killing of some soldiers by Boko Haram terrorists. A statement by the acting director, Nigerian Army Public Relations, Colonel Sagir Musa, indicates that there was no incident that involved the capture and killing of Nigerian soldiers on the 10th of December 2019 as portrayed in the video. The Nigerian Army enjoined the public and personnel of the Nigerian Army to disregard the inciting video concocted by the outlawed IPOB members to instigate disunity amongst Nigerians. The Economic and Financial Crimes Commission, EFCC, has secured another victory against corrupt public officers. This is coming after the conviction and sentencing in Lagos the former governor of Abia State, Orji Uzor Kalu, for 12 years in prison for a 7.65 billion naira fraud.
Justice Tijani Garba Ringim of the Federal High Court in Owerri had granted a final forfeiture of 1.5 billion naira state-of-the-art 200-bedded hospital, the dues of Hope Hospital, Owerri, allegedly owned by an aide of the former Imo State Governor and a 7th Senator, Rochas Okorocha. The Commission had, on the 22nd August 2019, obtained the interim forfeiture of the property from a vacation judge, Honorable Justice Mohammed of the Federal High Court in Port Harcourt. In the course of the investigation, some funds were traced from the account of the government house, Owerri, to the hospital. The Commission also secured the conviction and sentencing of 2 top officials of Bank PHB, now Keystone Bank, Anayo Nwosu and Olajide Oshodi, alongside an Indian, Ashok Israni, to 5 years each. Ashok Israni, an Indian businessman who was equally sentenced to 5 years in prison before Justice Kudirat Jose of the State High Court, Igbo Shere, Lagos State. This is contained in the statement signed by Wilson Uwujare, Head Media and Publicity of the EFCC. Also jailed are Nulek Industries Limited, belonging to Israni, and the Keystone Bank Limited. Meanwhile, the Commission has received an award of excellence in service delivery as the best MSU for 2019.
The Brass LNG says it has made tremendous progress in the execution of its project despite the minor setback experience. The company's board chairman, Jackson Obaseki, gave the assertion at its 13th annual general meeting of the company in Abuja. Doindia reports.
The exchange of pleasantries to calm the nerves, just a perfect way to begin the meeting. And back to the reason why they gathered was the presentation of the company's scorecard in the last 2 years, a taste of sweet wine for shareholders and board as the company unveiled series of projects executed in the year under review.
The period between the last AGM now has been an eventful one, in which the company has focused on business continuity as we optimize our cost base and review our strategic options on the best way forward for all stakeholders.
The $22 billion Brass LNG project, which was originally set up in 2003 with the Nigerian National Petroleum Corporation NNPC owing 49%, had suffered delayed in its production of the liquefied natural gas for more than a decade, and which also led to some of its partners pulling out of the project. Chairman of the company's board, Jackson Gaius Obaseki, says the story is changing as the company is harmonizing its project implementation strategies for a positive result.
And I made it very clear to them that come early next year, they must make a decision.
With the adoption of the financial report for the year ended and all the matters laid before the shareholders, the Brass Liquefied Natural Gas General Assembly ratified the nomination of new board of directors to take on leadership position as non-executives. Doing Dia NT News.
Deployment of technology in enhancing productivity in the energy sector and tracking trans-border smuggling of petroleum products are key areas the Department of Petroleum Resources DPR is already working on and plans to improve on in the coming year. This is the position of the DPRO at its 2019 retreat holding in Abuja. Benny Adams reports.
President Muhammadu Buhari's commitment to growth in the energy sector has given birth to investment interest, with investors partnering the NNPC to revamp the nation's refineries. To ensure this happens without hitches, Minister of State Petroleum Resources Timothy Silva is mobilizing stakeholders in the sector to that effect.
A government can have a vision, but if that vision is not shared by the civil servants and by the MDAs, then it's a waste.
For the DPR leadership, its foot soldiers across the country must be on the same page with government plans,
so that we can curb the volume of imports we are making now of the products, petroleum products.
I believe that the President's work and agenda is being cascaded down, and we believe we will see the results very soon.
The DPR assured Nigerians of availability of petroleum products during the Yuletide.
We had a meeting with Chief of Staff to the Mr. President last week, and we had a follow-up stakeholders meeting in NNPC last week, Tuesday, and we have all resolved to ensure that we work around the clock to ensure product availability throughout.
Having agreed to enhance the use of technology for efficiency in service delivery, reduce cost of production, eliminate product shortages, among other deliverables, the DPR management also agreed it's not going to be business as usual going into the new year. Benny Adams, NTA News.
While still talking energy matters, as a Total Exploration and Production Nigeria Limited has empowered 160 widows in Egiland with training skills in slaughtery. They also distributed improved palm seedlings to another 21 families from the area. Emmanuel Lene reports.
100
160 widows drawn from the 16 communities in Egiland received 100 pieces point of African giant Aschatina magrinata snails and cages, while 21 selected families from the area received improved palm seedlings. Deputy General Manager, Community Affairs and Development, Total EMP, James Uro, represented by the Manager, Business and Entrepreneurial Development, Mr. Patrick Idoko, while flagging off the pilot scheme, noted that the gesture is in keeping with the company's life support agricultural interventions. He noted that Total EMP will partner genuine and dedicated farmers who want to key into our agricultural initiatives.
Tech NG, NMPC supported agricultural programs for our farmers in our areas of operation is constantly geared towards sustainable objectives that will not only empower the beneficiaries alone, but also create an economic independence that will continue into the future.
In this land, in Haiti, no one will have to beg.
So by 9 months period, if they start selling, they are making 900,000.
Some beneficiaries express appreciation to the company for the initiative, promising to make good use of the opportunity. The initiative is one of many corporate social responsibility programs powered by Total EMP in East Host communities of OML 58. In Obite, Ogba Egbema Ndoni local government area of Rivers State, Emmanuel Lene, NTA News.
Ingino is standing by in Lagos for more reports from that access. Ingino, it's over to you.
Thank you, Rhoda, and welcome to Lagos. With less than 2 weeks to Christmas celebration, Lagos State Sector Command of the Federal Road Safety Corps has flagged off its Ember Month mega campaign with a charge to all road users to be safety conscious during the festive season and beyond. Dr. Oguyemi reports that the event attracted stakeholders in the transport sector as well as other traffic management agencies in the state.
The Lagos-Ibadan Expressway is regarded as one of the flashpoints that has witnessed several road crashes over the years. Little wonder why the Federal Road Safety Corps, Lagos Sector Command, chose the corridor to flag off the 2019 Ember Month campaign. With the theme, Road Safety as a State of Mind, road traffic crashes is an absence of mind. Stay alert, stay alive. The Federal Road Safety Corps Sector Commander, Hajino Sumeje, blamed the high increase of road crashes during Ember months to excessive speeding, dangerous overtaking, and driving under the influence of alcohol.
The command will be deploying 1,160 regular machines and 1,328 special machines during this festive period.
The resolve of the Corps as of today is to use the media and not public enlightenment platforms to dispel the erroneous belief and to proffer a way forward for the reduction of road traffic crashes.
Stakeholders lauded the campaign and promised to abide with traffic laws throughout the festive season.
Every human being should be conscious of safety.
If the driver is exceeding certain limits, the emergency numbers are there.
The event featured dance drama to educate people on the essence of the campaign. There was also free medical service to ensure the health status of road users. In Lagos, Dotun Oguyemi, NTA News.
Now talking revenue. Strategizing towards achieving a mechanism to block revenue leakages, diversion of funds, and recover unremitted revenues is part of agreement by participants at the just concluded retreat organized by the Revenue Mobilization, Allocation and Fiscal Commission. This gathering of experts in revenue matters with the theme Consolidating the Revenue Mobilization, Allocation and Fiscal Commission for greater efficiency, issues, expectations and way forward is aimed at preparing new members of the Commission for the task ahead of them, such as blocking revenue leakages. Various speakers at the retreat are advocating the development of the non-oil sectors like agriculture and solid minerals to boost the nation's revenue generation.
The Commission
will rededicate itself in the actualization of its mandate. And that includes ensuring that the remittance to the Federation account is optimized and that revenue generating agencies are better positioned to discharge on their mandate.
The issue of parameters being used to determine what is allocated to each state and local government also came to the fore.
It's also an opportunity for them to review their current position, to also be able to advise the federal government and Nigerians in general who, they are serving.
It's a whole process, and they have to take quite a number of parameters in place, including the revenue generation as we're looking at.
At the end of the retreat, participants unanimously agreed that for the Commission to function well, its enabling law should be amended to guarantee its financial independence and power of enforcement. That's it from Lagos. We now take a break. Network News continues shortly.
Wishing you a Merry Christmas, Nigeria. Glow Unlimited.
Years ago, a scout was looking around Bayelsa. Luckily for me, he came to my school. And that was how my journey of becoming the Nestle Milo Basketball Championship MVP began. Along the path, some people tried to discourage me because I was short. But then I got to realize that it's about your heart, not about your height. Sometimes I get discouraged going for training and all that. Sometimes I trek. And that is what every person that knows where he or she is going has to do, to play along with the challenges and make sure you overcome it. I am grateful for the platform Nestle is giving to young athletes like me. My name is Regina Donano, and this is my journey.
Nestle, good food, good life.
Greetings from FCMB, My Bank and I.
Expressions without words won't have it any other way. Moments will feel joy. Been lost in the moment of freedom. You will find that's worth celebrating. Bring your moment to life. Find your satisfaction in the nourishing trend of sparkling. Celebrate a little win, making big differences in the nourishing trend of sparkling.
Enjoy in red grape, white grape, peach variants, Valletta sparkling fruit drink. Celebrate every moment.
Years ago, a scout was looking around Bayelsa. Luckily for me, he came to my school. And that was how my journey of becoming the Nestle Milo Basketball Championship MVP began. Along the path, some people tried to discourage me because I was short. But then I got to realize that it's about your heart, not about your height. Sometimes I get discouraged going for training and all that. Sometimes I trek. And that is what every person that knows where he or she is going has to do, to play along with the challenges and make sure you overcome it. I am grateful for the platform Nestle is giving to young athletes like me. My name is Regina Donano, and this is my journey.
Nestle, good food, good life.
Nothing can stop you from achieving your dreams but you. Nothing can stop you from achieving your dreams. Chris is saying, believe in your originality and nothing can stop you.
Chris Air Fine Jewelry and Timepieces. Visit us at Transcorp Hilton Lobby opposite UBA Abuja.
You're welcome back. Thank you for being there. The ASWAN Forum on Peace and Security and Sustainable Development in Africa has ended with a resolve by participants comprising African leaders and other stakeholders to ensure that the continent assumes ownership of its peace and development agendas. Adamu Sambo reports on the ASWAN Peace and Development Report issued at the end of the forum.
After a two-day brainstorming session by participants, the ASWAN Forum, with the theme Peace, Progress and Prosperity, concludes that the existing policy and normative frameworks at the disposal of Africa are adequate towards making the desired paradigm shift. The ASWAN Peace and Development Report, however, expressed fears regarding the operationalization of such frameworks, saying for Africa's promising transformative trends to be fully realized, far-reaching measures must be urgently considered and effected. These include conflict prevention, strengthening peace support operations, women empowerment, addressing forced displacement, post-terrorism governance, as well as post-conflict reconstruction and development. The African Union Chairman and President of Egypt, Abdel Fattah el-Sisi, who convened the forum, expressed satisfaction with the outcome.
I am really sure and certain that our African continent, beloved African continent, is more than capable to address the challenges in order to achieve stability, peace for our nations, and reinforce the pillars of sustainable development.
Some members of the Nigerian delegation speak on their takeaways from the thought-provoking ASWAN Forum.
What came out clearly is that all Africans must look inwards to solve their problems. They must understand that if there is no good governance, if there's no good leadership, if you do not provide infrastructure, if you do not provide amenities, you do not invest in your countries and in your communities, these are things that could lead to conflicts. The cost of conflicts and wars in Africa is put at about $2.3 trillion annually. That amount of money, if we had it and was invested in communities, in societies, could prevent conflicts and finance development.
I think there is an obvious commitment on the part of all the participants that there is a need for us to do a lot more in the areas of governance, and I mean good governance, because they are, if you like, the best antidote to ensure that we have stability and that we have peace. Sustainable peace and development. And of course the issue of gender, that there is a need for us to also carry our women and the youth along in finding solutions to some of these problems.
The ASWAN Forum, which sees the ongoing reform efforts at the African Union as a unique opportunity to take forward Africa's partnership to a new level, however, believes that effective collaboration between the African Union and the United Nations in peace, security and development is indispensable. From Aswan, Egypt, Adamu Sambu, NTA News.
We'll take our last messages for tonight. Don't go away.
This Saturday on the Premier League, Chelsea go head-to-head with AFC Bournemouth. The Blues aim to climb the top 5 ladder when they clash against the Cherries this Saturday. Who will dominate the game? Catch Chelsea versus AFC Bournemouth live on NTA Network at 4 p.m. this Saturday. The Premier League, brought to you by Coca-Cola and Access Bank.
Them girls just they feel me now, cause I get some money, then they feel me now. Back then they do me anyhow. I don't get some money, they want to get it. Oh yeah, shake body. Oh yeah, move body. Make you ring alarm.
body.
This na how we dey show for holiday. This na how e dey be when e don tey you block male. This one pass decoder. This na your family groove. Totori your family this season. Go sharply arrange Go TV decoder and Go tenor wey carry 1 month Go TV Max subscription follow body for only 6,900 naira. Go TV. Live it, love it.
The Secretary to the Government of the Federation, Boss Mustafa, on behalf of the government and people of Nigeria, in conjunction with Ekaite family, regret to announce the death of late Chief Ufot Joseph Ekaite, retired Federal Permanent Secretary, former Secretary to the Government of the Federation. Activities lined up for the funeral are as follows. Friday, 13th December 2019, service of songs at the deceased compound, time 6 to 10 p.m. Saturday, 14th December 2019, 8 to 9:30 a.m. lying in state at the deceased compound, 10 to 12 a.m. funeral service, venue, St. Joseph's Anglican Church, Ikotedo, Ona, local government area, Akwa Ibom State. Interment at the deceased compound after the funeral service. You are cordially invited. Announcer, Boss Mustafa, Secretary to the Government of the Federation.
You're welcome back and thank you so much for being there. Chief and leaders of the Oruwari Briggs House have appealed to the various factions of the Obi Lulu Briggs family to accede to the unconditional release of the body of the late business mogul for burial, while other legal issues to be resolved thereafter. Chief Mona Dumo Lulu Briggs, alongside other chiefs of the house, made the appeal at the news briefing in Port Harcourt. Kingsley Amajiri reports.
The latest appeal is in response to the call by one of the factions indicating readiness for the burial of the late Obi Lulu Briggs. The chiefs, elders, youths, women, and other concerned members of the Oruwari Briggs Walkeno House appealed to the wife of the deceased to vacate the court injunction restraining the chief mourner from having access to his corpse. Being a philanthropist and a Calabari chief, the concerned Oruwari Briggs House members stressed the need to accord him a befitting burial.
It is a taboo to unduly preserve the body of such an illustrious son of the Calabari kingdom for any reason, no matter how good and the reasons, without putting to rest first the body to Mother Earth.
We want Dr. Mrs. Seye to release the body of our high chief for us. Chief Dumo is the chief mourner of the family. And I want to tell you that we are not quarreling with you, Seye. Is it proper for her to keep our father?
Chief Dumo Lulu Briggs, who appealed to his stepmother, said they are willing to work with her to accord their late father his last respect.
So by the grace of God, we are going to appear before him on the 17th. I will put forward to him the position of the priest of our house, which is that let her agree with the court to release the body to us by Calabari custom. The body needs to come home. That is what tradition requires.
Chief Dumo Lulu Briggs also thanked Governor Nyesom Wike for his intervention in the matter, saying that his family will align with the state government for the burial billed on January 25th, 2020 if his body is released. In Port Harcourt, Kingsley Amajiri, NTA News.
And with that report, we conclude Network News tonight. We sincerely apologize that we've not been able to join our Just Network Center in the course of this news belt. But for more news stories, more updates and stories as they break, continue to stay with us here on the NTA. On behalf of myself and everyone here, we thank you for watching. Enjoy your evening.